does this have to do with Ms. Marvel?
Doesn't have anything to do with Miss. When has our intros ever had to do anything with anything?
That's true.
Most of them are awful.
You just got this as the intro.
Like this one. Hello, everyone. Back for another 5 things. We're not going to poo-poo on anything this time. We went really hard on Obi-Wan, deservedly so.
Yeah. You know what? In fact, maybe part of this video, I'm going to go back to bashing on Obi-Wan.
Yeah, there's some residual effects of Obi-Wan that have affected Ms. Marvel a little bit. But let's jump right in. First, I want to talk about Kamala Khan herself, Iman Vellani. Oh my God. What just like, it's like Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark. You think about like
Tom Holland, like a little Tom Holland in there.
Chadwick Boseman.
Yes.
Even Brie Larson, which is like, it's like these people feel like those characters, and she absolutely nails Kamala Khan.
Yeah. We don't have to connect with every character, but that this is it's a teenage character, it's a Muslim character, like these things that we are not. She's a 16-year-old girl, like we are not 16-year-old girls.
No.
But the power of her performance and the love that she has for this character, it's like you do connect with her. You do relate to her. She is so fun, so relatable, and so real that you're like, yeah, I've totally been there, Kamala. Like I totally understand, you know. And that's neat. That's awesome. That like that her performance is so strong that in that regard.
I've seen a lot of complaints for like, well, what does this have to do with like, they're trying to like, I don't connect with this, and it's just like sometimes you watch or look at art or listen to art not because you connect with it as like a person. You want to experience something new, understand something new, learn a little bit while also having fun.
And also in that you find real life connections. I'm sorry, are you really connecting? You're really relating to an astrophysicist and like a gamma radiation dude who like has anger issues? Like, I mean, maybe the anger issues, but I doubt most of you or most people who are critiquing this are like, oh, I'm really into gamma radiation, like I'm saying you're dumb. That's what I'm saying.
Not to take away from your anger and hate from the people that are angry and hate.
Yes,
but the cast of characters around her are really good. There's some hits and misses here, but that's typical of any Marvel thing. It's like not everyone's going to nail it.
I think honestly, like her core group of friends and her family, and even her community, those characters in the community, those are what shine, and that's what's important to me. Am I like in love with Kamran or like the other villains? Like not really, but like it doesn't matter because those core like 8 people feel so close, feel so real. That's like her brother is fun, like her sister, like it's like all of it.
Next, I want to talk about the Partition because it's not a thing a lot of Americans know. I only know a little bit of it because I used to have insomnia during college, and I went through wiki holes, and then I found the Partition. I was reading about it, and it's been a few other movies, but it's not been like a big thing. It was so cool to see it from a different perspective, where it's telling us a little bit about the history, but also explaining. This is going to bleed into my third point, but anyways, it's explaining Pakistan and India's separation under British rule, and it doesn't fully go into it because there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of death and destruction, and it doesn't touch on any of that, but it does touch on the part about families separating, and that's something we as Americans, we can understand that because that still happens even if you're not an immigrant or not. It's like, so to see that in a Marvel show was really cool. It's like a lot of times you don't really see the real world in Marvel. You see
those real events.
Like we saw World War II and we saw some other things.
It was nice also that it's like a World War II, like probably like Eternals, who were like, well, this was kind of like we were behind the scenes kind of push. It was good to see this still real world event not be like Marvelized, like oh, it was actually Doctor Doom the whole time, like it was nice that it was pure, and a character says it like, every family has a Partition story, and it was nice to see that one and it'd be so personal instead of trying to, like you said, explain everything and get into everything. It was nice to just see that one personal story, and that that episode, like it was emotional.
All right, my third point is I want to talk about how great of an immigrant story this is, because it touches on a lot at the end. The final episode, they touch on a lot about how like there's this internal struggle with immigrants. Like, how do I still culturally be who I am from, you know, even though I am like a second generation immigrant, is like, how am I going to be American and also my religion, my culture, my family? And so there's a battle with Kamran, especially, is like he's feeling this battle to go back to his home world, but he also doesn't want to leave our universe. I know they're technically side. Yeah. I don't know what they call it.
Doesn't want to go through the veil, you know, whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, so but Kamala's also dealing with that, and a bunch of other people are dealing with it. It's like they want to go home, but they want to stay here. They want to provide a better life, but also they're ridiculed. And the damage control lady, she touches on some. They almost go like racist, but then they're like, "Oh, just kids. We mean kids." Which we'll talk about what she's really talking about, because it's a hint at a bigger Marvel thing. It's just really cool to see an immigrant story within the Marvel veil. We're America. We are built on immigrants. And a bunch of other sad, very, very sad things that people don't want to talk about. But
we have really taken a sad turn in this video.
Let's move on to the next point. This show especially subverted a bunch of MCU show tropes. Yeah. Like episode 4, there's always a big twist. Yeah, there was a big twist here, but usually it's involved with like some other Marvel character.
Yeah, and also it really isn't. It just felt more narratively like, yep, this is the next thing. We're still building on the story, because the 4th one is when they are in Pakistan, right? And it didn't feel like an earth-shattering reveal. It was just kind of like it led into another emotional episode. But you know, it's nice. It's nice to also I mean, gosh, Kamala has her powers. I mean, just 30 minutes into the show, and so it's nice to not. You get enough of her vibe in that first 30 minutes that, okay, I don't need any more character development. Let's just give her powers, and we will develop her character further as she has those powers. Yeah. And so it's nice that it's not like, oh, now she's Miss Marvel, like now she's got her powers, episode 5.
I'm just really loving the MCU shows. At first I was like questioning a little bit, like, oh man, this is too much content. But now as I'm like seeing the pieces finally come together for phase 4, like you mentioned it in our Thor review, is like phase 1 wasn't really connected that much at all either.
Yeah, we knew what they were working towards, but I do feel like the more I think about it, I'm like, phase 4 is for the TV, you know, and that's more of a corporate decision, but like, it really is thinking about, with the exception of like a Shang-Chi and maybe a few other things, like people want to talk about the shows, the WandaVisions, the Lokis, the Miss Marvels, and so now, like, if I look at it from that, I'm like, okay, they're building to something bigger with these TV shows, and the movies right now are still almost in a reset mode, you know?
They're like a nebulous kind of thing, just hanging out in the universe. And the TV shows are like, come down here already. Hey. I want to talk about the 2 big spoilers. Yeah. I waited for the last point to talk about them. Obviously, Captain Marvel shows up for less than a cup of coffee. She is like
not even interacting with Kamala either.
A literal sip of coffee. Yeah. She gets transported, and I assume Kamala gets transported to wherever Captain Marvel was, and that's the setup for their movie. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. And I think I enjoy that a lot more than like you have to watch WandaVision entirely to understand Doctor Strange too. Yeah.
It feels more like an old post-credit scene. Yeah. Of like, whoa, she's here. You get a good look at, like, the costume looks cool. Her hair's not the whatever. However you feel about the in-game hair, it just it wasn't done justice.
No, and they say that.
And they say that. But like, her hair looks cool. You kind of get this idea of like, okay, you're starting to kind of maybe grasp about, okay, what is this going to be about? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is exciting. But the one that has like ignited the internet,
everyone, is that Bruno/Brian at the end of the show tells Kamala that she has a mutation in her genes. And very briefly, the X-Men 97 theme plays. Just literally, that was it. Yeah. But it's mixed in with the music, so it's like, if you don't really know the theme, you're not really going to catch it. Yeah. But now that all of the internet had spoiled this before the show even came out. Well, I guess as the show was coming out. I'm excited. It is great that we're finally getting a hint. I mean, technically, Doctor Strange 2 hinted at it.
Yes, and I think it's in two things are interesting. One, that they've chosen to go mutant. I don't really care. I think it's fine. I think it'll be now the only thing they kind of back themselves into is that like, well, she's not an X-Men. That's what they're like. People are like, well, why? Well, if they're mutants, and like, why isn't like Kamala there too? Like, maybe that becomes an issue. I'm sure they don't care. It'll be fine. But also that we are now like my favorite part is like the X-Men like cartoon. That vibe, that soundtrack. They are going all in because you had Patty Stew with the Xavier chair that is ripped straight from the comics the cartoon, and now you have this theme, and you're like, they are taking influence. They may even say like same thing, So it's it makes me excited to know what they're doing with X-Men. So
we still don't know what the next Avengers movie is going to be, but at some point it's going to be Avengers versus X-Men. I mean, they clearly made the comic just to know that they're going to do the movie at some point. So, and I remember the reviews of the comic was like, this will work better as a movie.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is evil Cyclops. I'm ready for an evil Cyclops.
I'm excited. Now listen.
6 point here.
5.5. I am a little upset, a little shocked at Disney Plus for hyping Obi-Wan like they did and dropping it, and in the middle of that being like, oh yeah, I guess we'll premiere Miss Marvel too. Like, when really, like, Miss Marvel deserves her own time. You're not dropping Mando and She-Hulk together. You're not dropping Boba Fett season 30 along with the new Daredevil show that we all know you're working on. Like, so like why? And people who slept on this and who have not caught up on this, I think that you're in for a pleasant surprise. And man, just go watch your show. It's like, the more I think about it, even after last night, like, I'm like, this is like climbing the ranks up there too.
Yeah, it's gonna. I feel like at some point we have to do a Phase 4 wrap up kind of video or something. But I'm feeling like, at first we talked about it well before we ever did this video. It's like I wasn't feeling the first 3 episodes. Like, it's whatever. But then like 4, 5, and 6, it really amped up and it became cohesive. And I was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought I was like, oh, they're just going for like a Scott Pilgrim-esque kind of thing. And they still, like, they homage that a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like, it's its own thing. It's got a great story, gives you a history lesson with some fun. You got to go watch it.
Gotta go.
I mean, it's not connected to anything except for the Marvels, I guess. And even then, it's barely connected.
And also, it's a breeze. You're not like, who's that? What's that? Who's going on? What? It is very linear of like a story. Like, you're never like, I'm lost. What? Who's that? So, yeah.
It's literally shorter than the Stranger Things finale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably.
So, yeah, you could binge it in between your Stranger